All right, ready to dive deep into some Buddhist wisdom today?
Sounds good to me.
We're going to be exploring happiness and contentment, kind of looking through the lens of the Anuruddha Sutta. You sent over this fascinating Dhamma discussion on it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to unpack it with you.
Yeah, it's a really rich text, lots of insights, lots of stuff that can be really applied to our lives.
Our mission, if you will, is to understand how these different kinds of happiness that are outlined in these teachings, how they can lead to more lasting contentment and even, spiritual progress.
Right.
So I'm curious, can you really be truly happy without, all the material stuff that we're bombarded with?
Right.
Is all happiness actually good for you?
That's a really great question. And this discussion really does jump right into that by outlining two fundamental types of happiness.
Okay, lay it on me. What are the two types?
The first one's called samisa sukha, which translates to material happiness. So think the pleasure that you get from like a delicious meal or a comfortable home or even like the latest gadget.
Yeah.
The kind of things that we often see advertised as like keys to happiness.
I know that feeling. It's like that instant gratification hit when you buy something new, but it never seems to last, does it?
Right. And that's the catch with samisa sukha. It's enjoyable for sure, but it's based on external things.
Yeah.
And when it's pursued excessively, it can become a slippery slope. And it's driven by greed and attachment a lot of the time. Kind of like there's a story in here about King Mandatha who ruled the entire world but still found himself constantly wanting more and never really satisfied.
It really highlights that age-old, more is never enough.
Yeah.
We see it all the time. Yeah. But you mentioned there was another type of happiness.
Right. So the discussion moves into Niramisa Sukha, which is non-material happiness. Yep. And this one's fascinating because it arises from internal qualities. So things like wisdom, virtue, and mindfulness.
So instead of chasing external things, it's about cultivating that sense of peace and fulfillment from within.
Exactly. And what's interesting about Niramisa Sukha is that it's not dependent on your external circumstances. So the discussion highlights three key ways to cultivate this. The first one is sabapapasa akaranam, avoiding harmful actions.
Okay, so less negativity, more inner peace. It's like clearing out that clutter to create space for genuine happiness.
Right. It's about recognizing that our actions have consequences, both for ourselves and others. And by choosing to not engage in harmful behaviors, we cultivate that sense of inner peace.
Yeah.
And we create a more positive environment around us as well.
It's like setting a positive ripple in motion.
Exactly.
What's the next step on this path to non-material happiness?
So the second way is kusalasa upasampada, cultivating wholesome qualities. So think things like kindness, compassion, generosity, and patience. These kinds of actions benefit both you and the people that you interact with.
Yeah.
So again, kind of that ripple effect.
Yeah, those qualities seem to create a sense of connection, like a harmony, both within ourselves and in our relationships. It's like building that foundation for a happier, more fulfilling life.
Exactly. And then the final way to cultivate Niramisa Sukha is Sachita Paryodapanam, which translates to purifying the mind through wisdom. And this one gets a little bit more philosophical. It's about developing a deeper understanding of yourself and the nature of reality.
So kind of stepping back and observing our thoughts and emotions without getting swept away by them.
Yeah.
Becoming the observer of our own mental chatter.
That's a great way to put it. So by cultivating wisdom, we can break free from unhelpful thought patterns and habits that lead to suffering.
That's powerful. Sounds like a lot of inner work, though. Where does the concept of contentment fit into all this?
Contentment is absolutely crucial. The discussion emphasizes that it's not just about passively accepting your circumstances.
Right.
It's really an active cultivation of satisfaction and gratitude for what you already have.
I'm starting to see how this all ties together. It's not about denying ourselves nice things or pretending everything's perfect. It's about cultivating a deeper sense of satisfaction, regardless of our external circumstances.
Exactly. And a key part of that is understanding poverty of expectations, which essentially means having realistic expectations and aligning your desires with what's genuinely important and achievable. For example, the discussion highlights the idea that someone who works really hard towards a goal and achieves, let's say, 75% of the desired outcome should find contentment in that 75% achievement rather than focusing on the missing 25%.
That's a powerful perspective shift. Focusing on what you've accomplished rather than what you lack. It reminds me of, enjoy the journey, not just the destination. But how do we cultivate this kind of contentment without falling into complacency?
That's where the wisdom comes in.
Okay.
The discussion really emphasizes that true contentment is born from understanding the impermanent nature of material things.
Right.
And the importance of inner peace.
So it's not about lowering our standards or settling for less.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that true fulfillment comes from within, not from the external things we accumulate.
Exactly. And it's also important to remember there's actually two types of contentment outlined here.
Oh, okay.
So contentment based on greed leads to suffering and actually diminishes merit.
Okay.
But contentment rooted in knowledge and non-attachment actually supports spiritual progress and generates merit.
So it's not just about being content, but understanding the motivation behind it. Is it coming from a place of wanting more or a genuine appreciation for what you have?
That's the key difference. And it ties back to the two types of happiness that we discussed earlier.
Right.
So simi-sasuka, that material happiness, is often fleeting and can lead to a cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. But niramisasuka, that non-material happiness, offers a more stable and fulfilling path.
This is incredibly insightful. I'm starting to see how these teachings can be applied even if we're not Buddhist.
Right.
It's like a roadmap to a more fulfilling and meaningful existence.
I think that's the beauty of these teachings. They really do offer wisdom that can resonate with anyone seeking a deeper understanding of happiness and contentment.
Okay, I'm ready to dive even deeper. Let's explore how all of this connects to the path to nirvana.
Let's do it. So the discussion reminds us that not all happiness is conducive to spiritual growth.
Okay.
While happiness that's rooted in greed might feel good in the moment, it ultimately traps us in a cycle of craving and suffering.
It's like those instant gratification moments that leave you feeling empty afterwards. Quick hit of dopamine, but no real lasting fulfillment. I've definitely been there.
I think we all have at some point.
Yeah.
On the other hand, true happiness arises from detachment, wisdom, and recognizing the impermanent nature of all things. Mm-hmm. And this is where the concept of atisukha comes into play, which means finding happiness in simply having the necessities for yourself and your family.
So appreciating the basic necessities without becoming overly attached.
Exactly.
Like finding contentment in having, a roof over your head and food on the table, but understanding that even those things are impermanent.
Exactly. It's about finding joy in the simple things without clinging to them as the source of your happiness.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that even the good things come and go, and clinging to them only leads to suffering. I'm starting to see how letting go can actually lead to a deeper sense of freedom and peace.
And the discussion really emphasizes that it's not about rejecting material things altogether. It's about using them wisely in a way that supports our spiritual progress.
So it's not about living a life of deprivation. It's about finding that balance between enjoying the material world and cultivating that inner contentment.
That's the essence of it. So the path to nirvana involves transcending both material and non-material happiness.
Okay.
To attain a state of complete liberation from suffering.
Wow, that's pretty profound.
It is.
But how do you actually reach that ultimate bliss of nirvana?
Well, the discussion outlines 3 ways to attain it. Tanhankaya, Vikavankaya, and Sambhajidakaya.
Those are some serious tongue twisters. Okay, I'm all ears. What do they mean?
So Tanhankaya refers to the temporary cessation of defilements. It's kind of like a brief glimpse of nirvana.
Okay.
So picture a moment of just pure peace and clarity where your mind is completely free from all agitation.
Like a taste of true freedom and liberation.
Exactly. Then there's Vikavankaya, which represents a long-term cessation of defilements. And this involves sustained effort to weaken and eventually eradicate those root causes of suffering.
So it's about gradually purifying the mind and developing a deep sense of inner peace.
Precisely. And then finally we have Samukadakaya, the eternal cessation of defilements. So this is the complete and irreversible liberation from suffering. It's the ultimate goal of the Buddhist path.
That sounds like a state of pure bliss. Achieving that must require incredible dedication and practice.
It does. But as the discussion points out, even small steps in the right direction can make a big difference.
This is all so insightful. I'm already feeling inspired to cultivate more contentment and inner peace in my own life.
That's wonderful to hear. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Well said. Okay, so we've covered these two main types of happiness, one rooted in external things and the other cultivated from within. And we've explored how contentment, guided by wisdom, is crucial for a lasting happiness. But I'm curious, what stood out to you the most from this Dhamma discussion? What really resonated?
What really struck me was how it emphasizes that even material happiness, when it's obtained ethically and wisely, it's still impermanent.
It's like nothing in the material world can truly last.
Exactly. And it makes a point of saying that this realization shouldn't make us despair. It can actually help us to understand true happiness as something that goes beyond those external factors.
So shifting our focus from what we have to who we are, cultivating that sense of well-being that's not dependent on outside circumstances.
That's it. And that's where Niramisa Sukha, that non-material happiness, becomes so powerful. Yeah. It's about developing those inner qualities that can't be taken away from you, no matter what life throws at you.
And those three paths to achieving it, avoiding harmful actions, cultivating those wholesome qualities, and purifying the mind through wisdom, it's like they provide a framework for building that inner strength.
I love that analogy. And they go deeper into how each of these paths contribute to both lasting happiness and spiritual progress.
Let's break those down a bit more, because I think they hold some really valuable insights for anyone, regardless of their spiritual beliefs.
Absolutely. So starting with the first path, avoiding harmful actions.
Okay.
It sounds simple enough, but it goes deeper than just, not breaking the law.
Right.
It's about becoming aware of how our actions, even the seemingly small ones, can impact ourselves and others.
It's like that idea that hurt people.
Right.
If we're carrying around, anger or resentment, it's bound to come out in how we interact with the world.
And on the flip side,
yeah,
as it highlights, consciously choosing kindness and compassion, even when it's difficult, creates a positive feedback loop that benefits everyone involved.
It's not just about being good for the sake of being good. It's about recognizing that our actions have consequences, both internally and externally.
You got it. And that leads us to the second path, cultivating wholesome qualities. So think of it like actively nurturing virtues like generosity, patience, loving kindness.
Those are the qualities that seem to build bridges between people, right?
Yeah.
Create a sense of harmony and connection, both within ourselves and with others.
Exactly. And they also cultivate inner strength and resilience. It's like building a solid foundation for your own well-being.
So it's not enough to simply avoid negativity. We need to actively cultivate these positive qualities within ourselves.
Right. Now, for the third path, purifying the mind through wisdom.
Okay.
This is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Because it goes beyond simply being nice or avoiding bad behavior. It's about developing a deeper understanding of ourselves and how the world works.
Right.
That's the heart of it. So the discussion emphasizes that wisdom involves recognizing that everything is in constant flux. Our thoughts, our emotions, even the things that we perceive as solid and permanent.
So seeing things clearly without getting caught up in our own interpretations and stories.
Precisely. And this understanding can help us to break free from attachment and craving, which are often the root causes of suffering.
Sounds like it's about developing a mind that's spacious and clear.
Yeah.
Able to observe our thoughts and emotions without getting swept away by them.
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
But developing this kind of wisdom takes practice. It requires a willingness to look inward and honestly examine our own minds.
It's a lifelong journey of self-discovery and growth. Speaking of journeys, the discussion mentioned that these paths to non-material happiness actually generate merit. What does that mean in this context?
So merit in Buddhism refers to that positive energy or karma that accumulates through wholesome actions and intentions. It's like you're planting seeds for a brighter future, both in this life and beyond.
So by cultivating these positive qualities within ourselves, we're not only benefiting ourselves in the present moment, but also creating positive ripples that extend far beyond our immediate experience.
That's right. It's a beautiful and profound concept.
Okay, all this talk about non-material happiness is inspiring, but let's be real, we live in a material world. How can we practically apply these teachings to everyday life when we can't all just, renounce our possessions and retreat to a monastery?
That's a great question. And the discussion addresses that head on.
Okay.
It acknowledges that most of us have responsibilities, families to care for, bills to pay. The point isn't to reject the material world entirely. It's
Right.
about finding that balance.
So using our material resources wisely and ethically while still cultivating inner contentment and non-attachment.
Exactly. So the discussion encourages us to find happiness in providing for ourselves and our loved ones without falling into that trap of constantly wanting more. Remember, Atisukha, finding joy in simply having our basic needs met.
Right. Appreciating what we have without, clinging to it, or we're always needing something more to be happy.
It's also about aligning our actions with our values. So using our material resources in a way that benefits not only ourselves, but also contributes to the well-being of others.
So we can still enjoy the material world without letting it become the sole source of our happiness.
You got it. It's about recognizing that true happiness and fulfillment come from within, not from the things we possess.
Right.
And this realization can free us to live more fully and joyfully, regardless of our external circumstances.
This is all so insightful. I feel like we're only scratching the surface of these profound teachings.
And that's what makes this exploration so fascinating. There's always more to learn and discover on the path to wisdom and happiness.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to keep exploring and to cultivate more non-material happiness in my own life.
That's wonderful to hear. Remember, even small steps in the right direction can make a big difference.
Small steps, big changes, right. I love that approach. Makes the whole idea of spiritual growth seem a lot less daunting.
Yeah, progress, not perfection.
So true. What's really struck me in this discussion is how it reframes our understanding of happiness. It's not just, this fleeting emotion that comes and goes based on external things.
Right.
It's something we can actively cultivate.
Exactly. And that's what's so empowering about these teachings. We're not just at the mercy of our external circumstances. We have the ability to choose happiness, no matter what life throws at us.
It's like taking back control of your well-being. Incredibly powerful. This shift in perspective can have a huge impact on how we navigate the ups and downs of life.
Absolutely, because even in the midst of challenges, you can find a sense of peace and contentment within.
So it's not about, ignoring our problems or pretending everything's perfect. It's about cultivating that sense of inner stability that allows us to face those challenges with more grace and wisdom.
You got it. And that's where the teachings on non-material happiness offer such a powerful antidote to the anxiety and dissatisfaction that's so common these days.
It's like finding a safe haven within yourself amidst all the chaos.
I love that image. And that inner peace isn't something you have to, wait for or earn. It's available to you right now, in this very moment.
That is incredibly hopeful and encouraging. True happiness isn't some distant goal. It's something we can access right here, right now.
And that's a message worth sharing.
It absolutely is. After diving into this Dhamma discussion with you, I'm feeling a renewed sense of hope, possibility. It's a powerful reminder that true happiness isn't about acquiring more or achieving some external goal. It's about cultivating inner peace, contentment, and wisdom.
And those are qualities that not only benefit our own lives, but also have a ripple effect on everyone around us.
Such a beautiful ripple effect to create in the world. Well, this deep dive has been truly enlightening. I'm sure you have a lot to ponder now as you continue to explore these teachings.
As do we all. The exploration of these teachings is an ongoing journey, and every step we take towards greater inner peace and understanding benefits us and the world around us.
So beautifully said. As we wrap up this deep dive into happiness, contentment, and the path to nirvana, we'll leave you with this thought-provoking question. What small step can you take today to cultivate more non-material happiness in your own life? Perhaps it's a few moments of mindful breathing, an act of kindness towards a stranger, or simply a conscious choice to focus on the good. Every intentional act, however small, creates ripples that extend outward, contributing to a more peaceful and joyful world for all of us. Until next time, keep diving deep.